I told him, and I loved the Word. I studied it and read it, and I said, God, I'll have to confess something to you. I said, I love the Word better than I love you. And he spoke to me in my spirit just as plain. He said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Jesus is the Word.
Yes, he is.
He is the Word. It says all things that were made by him, and without him nothing that was made was made. And he said, and he upheld all things. He upholds all things by the word of his power. And I want you to look before we go down to that part. I wasn't intending on this, but he said in verse 13 or verse 10, he said, he was in the world, talking about Jesus, and the world was made by him. I mean, Ken, that's hard to comprehend, ain't it? I mean, Jesus was made flesh. The Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. The Word. And it says, and he was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. How would that feel? To be in a place that you made all the beautiful trees, mountains, and everything in it, people and all, and them people rejected you and didn't even know who you was. And you had made it all. And he said he came into his own received him not. Went on down verse 14, and it says, and the Word was made flesh and dwelled among us. And we beheld his glory, the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. I mean, that's unbelievable to think that we've got a book here that tells us about Jesus, and that Jesus is the living Word. He is the living Word of God. I mean, he is the Word. He's the Word. And when we go to churches as sheep, we need to hear the Word. We need to be fed the Word, because Jesus is the door into the sheepfold. Anybody that climbs in any other way besides through this Word is the same as a what? A thief and a robber. Now, what is a thief? That's someone who will stand behind the pulpit and tell you that this ain't right. I mean, think about it. There was two things, in my opinion. I know this is Easter and everybody talks about the resurrection, but you can go to the 4th chapter of the book of Ephesians. And it said that Jesus, when he was raised from the dead, that he led captivity captive. Now, there was a resurrection there. Nobody don't talk much about it, but it said that many of the saints of old appeared on the city in the streets of Jerusalem. Them people that didn't have a way to heaven, when Jesus went down there and preached to the spirits in prison, he brought them out there. They seen them in Jerusalem, walking up and down the streets. But you know the first thing he done in the 4th chapter of the book of Ephesians, just turn there and look at it. The very first thing he done, it says in verse 8, wherefore he said, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive, and he gave gifts unto men. Now that he ascended, what is it? But he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth. He that descended is the same as ascended up far above all heavens, that he might fill all things. Now this was when? This was just when he, like what we celebrate today, just when he come back up out of the grave and brought them captive. What was the very next thing he said? And he gave some apostles, and some prophets, and some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers. Why did he do that? For the perfecting of the saints. Now, that seemed to be more important to Jesus than anything else. that we can think of when he rose from the dead and he led captivity captive. I mean, he had been through a terrible, more than we can even comprehend. He went into the heart of the earth and he preached to Abraham and Isaac and Jeremiah and all them. And he preached to them. And he told them, he said, I'm here to get you. I mean, they knowed about it. They knowed the prophecies he is coming. Like in Isaiah 53:5. I mean, 700 and some years before he come, they knowed he was coming. And David said, he won't suffer my soul to stay in hell. He was talking about in that place of the heart of the earth, or the Holy One to see corruption. They knowed he was coming. And he brought them out. And you know what a reunion that had to be. But what was the very next thought on his mind? I'm going to get the people here ready. I'm going to put people over my sheep to teach them my ways and my word.